Well, hey everyone, it's Theriault-Your Maine Real Estate Guide, and I'm having a seat here at camp at long last. So we're out here, gonna spend a couple of days and do a few little projects. I did manage to hook up a water pump, so I can pump water. I just can't get water out of the faucets yet because I haven't run lines there. But the water pump's in, and well, looks like the boys have had a good time. Let me show you. Boomer seems to have settled in pretty well. Over there's Blazer, and he's he never settles down. But yeah, we got the stove going, got the refrigerator going, lights are on. Life is good. Well, it's early morning after our first night as a as a family. My wife and I, and then my two dogs, spent the night at camp, and it went relatively well. Um, the dogs kind of settled in. We were a little worried how that was going to work out. Um, Blaze is kind of high strung, but he actually did the best of all. And now we're going to do a little labor. I'm going to go get a load of wood. There's quite a few birch trees that need to come down, and some birch trees that are down that the beavers have cut and laid on the ground. So we'll go salvage some of that stuff this morning while it's relatively cool. And let me show you what else we've got going on here. All right, so we did a little work yesterday. I started stacking some of this, sorting through the pile of firewood that's over there. That half of it's rotted, half of it's okay. So I'm kind of stacking up the okay stuff where it'll get some get some sun on it. So I'll have some relatively dry firewood for hunting season here in a couple of months. And then we got the water pump going yesterday, and that worked out pretty good. I'm actually pretty pleased with it. So I purchased an RV water pump. Right here, a sea flow pump. And we were able to pump some water. So I've got that piece done. And here's my on-demand hot water heater. And I don't have that plumbed yet, but we're working on it. I still need to figure out why the lights on the other side of the cabin aren't working. I'm assuming it has something to do, I don't know if you can see that or not, with this wire here. I think that's the problem, but we'll sort that out a little later after it warms up a bit. But here's my water line that I ran into my well, and it actually worked. So pretty pleased about that. But it's pretty quiet out here first thing in the morning. Well, we're taking a little break from cutting firewood. For those of you who've been following along for a while, you know that I'm running a contest that when we get to 3,000 subscribers, we're going to pick a name that has entered that contest. And so I'll link that video right here. And all you need to do is put Moose Call entry in there, and then once we hit 3,000 subscribers, we'll pick a name, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to handcraft a birch bark moose call, and send it off to that lucky winner, provided they respond when I draw the name. So the way the rules are is I'm going to announce by the handle of that person on YouTube what their handle is, and then they'll have to get in contact with me and provide me their mailing address, and then I'll get it off to them. And if they don't respond in, I can't remember, either 3 or 5 days, I can't remember what their instructions are. I'll have to look myself. Um, we'll pick another name until I get a response from somebody. But anyway, um, since I'm cutting a fair amount of birch today and cleaning up some stuff, I'm going to try to actually get a piece of birch bark that's going to work. So let me show you what we're doing here. So I've made these calls before, and usually what I try to look for is a piece of birch that is relatively blemish free and about 9 inches in diameter, and that's about what this is. It's going to be difficult to peel it away from this where there was a branch in here as well, but we'll see how it goes. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just find another piece until I get the material I want. So what I've done is I've taken a utility knife and I've scored the birch there, and now I'm just carefully trying to get it started between a screwdriver and a utility knife to get it peeled off of there, and then we'll see if we can put together a cone here. So I'll get to work. Oh, by the way, we're at a little better than 2,800 subscribers. So we're within 200 subscribers of that drawing. So if you would help me out by sharing this video and maybe encouraging some of your friends to like and subscribe to my channel, that would be very helpful and appreciated. Well, we're gaining on her. I've got about, I don't know, a little better than half of that birch bark peeled off. Let me show you a little closer detail, because some folks have asked, they want to see how this is done here. So let me show you. So when you're peeling the bark, you want the outer layer. You don't want the inner cadmium bark there. That's just brittle, and it'll just flake away anyway. So you try to get that outer layer so it's white on the outside, brown on the inside. And I'm at one of those branches, and so I got to carefully work around there. And then I got a larger branch here that's going to take a little finesse, but we are gaining on her. Well, success. I have a piece of material to form a cone. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a cone, and then I'm going to put temporarily affix just a drywall screw to hold it in place until I can trim it, and then put reinforcement on the mouth end as well as the large end of the cone, and then I got to drill it and then um, stitch it all together with rawhide, and that'll make an authentic birch cone moose call. Yeah, so step one for making the moose call was to harvest a piece of bark from the birch tree, which I have done, form a cone, which I have done, and then affix a screw to kind of hold it in place. What I've got to do next when I get it home is on my bandsaw, I'm going to trim it so it's flush here and here. And then I'm going to add a small strip of birch bark around this end as well as this end, and drill along the seam as well as around the birch bark, and I'll show more detail as we get to that part. And then I'll stitch it all with rawhide, sign it, and as soon as we hit 3,000 subscribers, this will make its way to someone's mantle. Well, it's been a fairly productive day today. We spent our first full night at camp. Nancy, myself, and my two dogs, Boomer and Blazer. The dogs did surprisingly well. Been doing a fair amount of things today. Cut some firewood. I put a few screws in the roof metal roof that we put up a few weeks ago to get a little more secure. Still not done, but more done. Like everything. Made a big punch list of things that miscellaneous parts that I need to hook up the water, some new connectors and whatnot, and I think I need another breaker for the electrical to get the lights working on the other side of the cabin, and so I'll pick up those items. So let me show you around here what's going on. So part of what we've been doing is picking away at this old firewood pile, and I've been sorting through it to try to get some dry materials so that when hunting season comes, I've got some relatively dry stuff that's accessible. I don't have a woodshed yet, so we'll just make use of the covered porch, which will work out fine. This gets good early morning sun, so it should stay relatively dry. I'll try to get another few hundred sticks up there. There's the firewood we cut this morning. I'll be bringing that home and splitting and stacking that for next year's firewood at my house. Got to pick up my tools. We got to roll out of here in the morning after we get up and have breakfast, so I'm going to get everything picked up. I had to secure my ladder, safety first, so it wouldn't kick out when I climbed up on the roof. That worked out pretty good. However, that roof is exceedingly steep, and I'm not nearly as agile as I used to be. But we did get a few more screws in there, and I've got to come back with a small drill bit so I can drill a couple of pilot holes, because it's got self-tapping screws, but at the angle that I'm working at, it's difficult to get the self-tapping screw to bite without it shooting off the gun and out into space. So I'll bring a drill bit when I come back. Formulating a plan. I've got some parts coming. Did some horse trading. Got a buddy of mine that has been in the off-grid power business for a long time, and he comes by used equipment, if he upgrades someone's system, and so he had a used inverter, 24 volt, 2500 watt Outback inverter, and that'll work out fine here, and some lithium batteries. And what I'm thinking about doing right at the moment, I'm just kind of brainstorming, is right in this area here, I think I might build a battery box that's going to be on the outside of the cabin. Build it right here, and I could put a little roof over it right in this area here to keep the rain off the batteries. And then all I need to do is bring my battery leads in, drill a hole, and then if I mount the inverter in this area here on the wall, I can bring the battery leads up into the DC side of the inverter, and it should be good. That's what I'm thinking about doing. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know that I'll get the electrical hooked up this year. I don't think the parts are going to be here till mid to late September. There's a gentleman coming up from Texas that is going to be bringing the inverter and batteries with him, and he's coming up the East Coast and picking up Grumman canoes. Grumman made aluminum canoes years ago. I don't think they're made anymore. I just happen to have one. Kind of weird how it happened, but he's coming up picking up Grumman canoes to bring back to Texas for a youth camp, and they like Grumman canoes out there for whatever reason. But I happen to have one. I said, you bring the parts to my house, you get a free Grumman canoe. So that's part of the horse trade. But well, some other stuff that we've got to work on here. You know, if you look around long enough, you'll find things to do. So some of these birch trees are bent right over. They're going to be on the ground. First heavy wet snow this fall and winter. They're just going to be laying down. So I need to I'll either take them down or clean them up next spring. We'll see how it goes. But we are making a little headway. You know, when I think back how far we've come, you know, from this cabin that was practically laying on the ground last year, and with rotted sills and a rotted deck and right full of mice, we've come a long way. So now we've got a cabin that we could use. I got the stove hooked up, gas cook stove. I got a gas refrigerator going, gas light. I can pump water, and cabin's relatively level and secure. It's definitely usable, and so I'll just keep picking away at it, making it better and better. But you know, stay tuned. We'll keep you updated as we progress, and definitely if you haven't subscribed, please like and subscribe, and enter in that Moose Call giveaway. We're at 2,800 and change. When I left on Friday, I think we had 2,806 subscribers, something like that. So when we get to 3,000, I'm going to draw. And I did peel off some birch bark and make a cone. I gotta complete that call over the next week or 10 days at home. I'll pick away at that, and hopefully we can be giving that away here in the next couple weeks. So till next time, this is Rick Theriault, your Maine real estate guide on location here in Springfield, Maine. Oh, it's been a long day at camp. Time to unwind.